everyone, and thank you for joining me for day 7 of my Christmas card series. So today's card is using the Simon Says stamp October card kit for the most part. The stamp set that I'm using is the Be Joyful stamp set that came as part of that kit. And right now I'm using the Snowflake stamp in that stamp set to start my background for my card for today. So what I'm doing now is I'm just using Versamark ink to ink up that stamp, and then I'm using Stampedius white embossing powder to do a tone-on-tone effect with the snow on the white cardstock. I'm doing this directly onto my card base, just to minimize the amount of layers I have on my card, because there are going to be layers that go on top of this. So now I only stamped a few of them, and then I couldn't see where I was stamping, so I decided to put some embossing powder on it, and so I could see the images and then go ahead and stamp the remaining backdrop. I had to do it this way because this stamp is not really enough to cover the entire front, so I kind of did it in stages in order to cover off the whole back of the card. So now I'm just using the white embossing powder to finish off covering up what I've stamped, and then I'm going to heat set that with my heat gun. So once I'm done that, I'm going to use this red piece of paper that came as part of the card kit. I believe all the paper in the card kit came from Lawn Fawn. And now I am beginning to stamp my trees. So I use two colors, Bermuda Bay and Pool Party from Stampin' Up, in order to stamp the two different sizes of trees on this that I'm going to be using on this card. And I'm stamping them onto 110 pound Recollection cardstock. Now I'm just going to kind of fussy cut these out. So once I'm done cutting out my trees, I put them aside and then I start working on the rest of my background of this card. So I decided that I wanted to do some sloping hills for my trees to kind of be embedded within. But instead of cutting them out freehand, I used the Christmas scene stencil, because I had it on hand, to kind of come out with the slopes, and I just kind of staggered it on my two different pieces in order to get the various slopes that I was looking for. Then I just used some foam adhesive to put my two layers together, and then I positioned my Christmas trees onto this onto the sloped hills. So I just kind of staggered them a little bit and then used some glue runner to adhere them down into the areas that I wanted them on the slopes. So once I'm done with that, I put this aside and then I start to work on the embossing or embellishing the lower half of my card. So for that, I decided to pull out some other stamps in the stamp set. I used my embossing buddy, as you see me doing here now, on the front of the card because I was going to do some embossing in white and I didn't want any embossing powder where I didn't want it. So I stamped down this border stamp that's in the stamp set directly onto my pattern paper, and then I used the same white embossing powder over top of that image and heat set it. Now this part I'm not sure if I should have done, but I used some Perfect Pearls mist and I sprayed my tree and snowbank with them, as well as my background to the white portion of the card at the top. I think what it ended up doing is detracting from the snowflakes that I had already placed down, but it is a pretty pearl shine, so I guess it's not so bad. You can't really see it in the video, but you can probably see it in the final card. Once I've done that, I also heat set my sentiment, which is Be Joyful, right above that embossed border that I had placed. Next, I used another piece of paper from the pattern paper pack that came in the card kit. It's a very small print. I believe it's a snowflake print. You can barely see it in the card. But I just wanted a small little sliver of it, and the colors in that pattern paper really went with the Stampin' Up! Inks that I had chose. So I just added that there for a little bit of interest to the card. Then I decided that I wanted a little bit of something to the left of my sentiment. So I had some snowflakes die cut from my Lawn Fawn Stitch snowflake die. And so I just attached that and applied a rhinestone to the center of it. And then once I had applied a rhinestone to the center of that, I decided that I potentially wanted to add one to my tree and somewhere around my sentiment. So I attached those, and then I decided that I wanted to round out the corners of my card just for a different effect. So I rounded out the corners, and that pretty much completes today's card. So here you can start to see the shimmer that the Perfect Pearls Mist applies. It's a really nice effect for Christmas cards. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching day 7, and see me on Friday for day 8. Bye!